time for the Voice of Indie. Your hosts today are Beem, author and producer for Fresh Ink Group, and Stephen Gies, author, producer, composer, and publisher for Fresh Ink Group.
And good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It is time for another episode of the podcast called Voice of Indie. Pushing buttons. These buttons, I still got to figure out where everything's at. But how's everybody doing tonight? Is everybody keeping warm? It's been cold everywhere. How about down there in Alabama? By the way, this is episode number 234. I am Beem Weeps, as you can see down here at the bottom of the screen. How is it going down there in Alabama, Stephen?
It's just cold. I mean, we got a little bit of snow this past week. But, you know, the big storm that came through yesterday, I had a concert in Atlanta last night. So I drove to Atlanta, and my lady friend was not feeling well. So I went by myself, and I got snowed on and had icy roads. And it was just all kinds of weirdness, which is a little bit of fun as a Michigander, because I got to watch people who have no clue how to deal with snow and ice trying to do it. And the part of Atlanta we were in is a kind of a hilly part. So I was watching cars just sliding down streets and having a good old tobogganing time. But man, I saw Al Di Meola last night. I've been seeing him more than half a century. I've seen him more than 50 times. And I got to see him last night during a snowstorm. So nobody showed up. There were like fewer than 50 of us there in a little intimate winery setting. So one of my all-time heroes, with the greatest guitar player I think there is living today, I got to sit there just a few feet away and spend the evening, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw some of the footage that you shared with me, and yeah, he's one I've got to catch one of these days. Dude's an amazing guitar player.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, so as Beem said, welcome to the third video live stream podcast from Voice of Indie. We're messing around with the format. We're going to be doing some experimenting. We're limited on the number of roll-ins that we can do without spending a whole lot of extra money. So sometimes we're combining things, playing them back to back. But we appreciate all the feedback. We got some feedback this week, didn't we, Beem?
Oh, we did. We basically the feedback in views and the numbers of views. Look, the last show was audio only, so we get it. You know, that was kind of the drawback. But doing the video thing, we're seeing a spike in the views, which is really cool. And we've got some people that have reached out to us and said, hey, I just discovered that you guys are video now. And these are people that have they've used to listen to the podcast years ago when it was audio, and then they kind of faded away. And now they're coming back because it's video. So, yeah. And, you know, as Stephen's saying, we are kind of experimenting with the format and all that. Also be patient, because there's a whole bunch of buttons in this studio, and sometimes you got to figure out which one does what, and you know, it makes the screen do weird, crazy things. So just be patient till we get the hang of this, and we're gonna have fun.
While where are we streaming now?
We are streaming on YouTube right now, live. We are streaming on
and you can comment.
Facebook. Yeah, and you can comment. And as a matter of fact, I better open up that chat box.
I'm going to plaque about that.
And yeah, we'll go ahead and throw the placard up here. But YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, X. We got over here on the comments already. Here's Verwayne Greenhoe saying, "Good evening, everyone," and then he's saying it's cold, and then he's saying it's already at 28 and heading to 1 tonight. That's warm, Verwayne. From my point of view, I got up to -6 this morning, and here is Liz Guffro, and she is saying we're at 9 degrees right now. Yeah, that's cold everywhere, and I got to go all the way back up here to get back to the camera, because we got a whole bunch of these little placard.
Right, so we're going to briefly mention here, we've got some new releases that have come out right at the end of the year, including The Chair Volume 5. And we've got a new book trailer. So we're going to be playing that in a few minutes. We're going to combine it with another new book trailer and play them back to back, so it only counts as one roll-in. But that's The Chair Volume 5 by Robert McKenzie, who a lot of you saw sitting in with us on the end of year celebration 2 weeks ago. And another one that's recent that's really starting to take off is Trains of Alabama by Braden Dexter Green. So that's real cool, too. What else we got?
Yeah, and, you know, Trains of Alabama, that's a photography book, but it's about trains. And Angie Birmingham has Journey Beyond the Lens. This is all kinds of photography, mostly nature photography. And there's some cool photographs in there. And if you think they're cool, she's going to teach you how to take pictures just like that. And we also have, as we just showed a comment from Verwayne Greeno, we got his dealing with grief. And he spoke a little bit about that last week. If you didn't watch that one, get over to the YouTube channel and check it out.
Yeah, now, if you remember, Marcia Fox appeared twice on the old Blog Talk Radio audio podcast that we did for almost 4 years. She's an old friend that goes way back with us. We met her in a club a long time ago, and she's got a Dead Horse Canyon series that she's co-writing with Native American Pete Rising Sun, who's out west. And she just finished that trilogy, put out the third and final book. So we've got her book to be on the podcast next month. We're looking forward to that. But we want to mention, if you're a fan of the Dead Horse Canyon series or Marcia Fox books in general, it's out now. The final book in the trilogy Dead Horse Canyon series.
Yeah, Marcia's a very interesting person. Yeah. Got some cool backstories and things like that. And Nell Cooper, she's got Nowhere to Go But Tomorrow is out and having some good success with it. She's doing a lot of book signings and different book events around here in Michigan, where I'm from. She's from the thumb area of Michigan, and I'm over here. So it's about an hour and a half drive. So I have to get up there one of these days when she's doing one of those book signings. We've got a newsletter, and here's how you can sign up, subscribe to it. If you're interested in books that are coming out, that we've got coming out, as well as other people's. I mean, we cover a lot of different people in there. And you'll find out each Wednesday morning who's going to be on this show. And you'll get a link to it, so you can just click on it when the time comes and get over there and take a look at it. And
it forms on the home page. So that thing you see in the lower left there, newsletter sign up, just go to freshinkgroup.com and scroll down to the bottom. Right there.
Yes, indeed. And we also have a YouTube channel, and we would like for you to subscribe to that, especially now because we are live streaming through YouTube, which is really cool. And we need to get rid of those, but right there.
Okay, we get lost in the weeds there for a minute.
It's those buttons. When you click certain buttons, it says to hide the cameras. I didn't mean to click the hide the cameras. I meant to do the enlarge the screen for the placard and get our pictures off there. But
all right, well, we're flogging.
We're still learning. Still learning.
We're flogging books right now. Another one that was the last book of 2024, which technically was the first of 2025 by a couple of days. Patricia A. Guthrie, Matt's Murder. And we mentioned a few minutes ago the Chair Volume 5 by Mackenzie. That one and Matt's Murder both have new trailers. So we're going to play both of those back to back now.
All right.
World premieres.
The body of Matt Carter lies in the stable, his head bashed, longish blonde hair splayed in a pool of blood. A lone horse stands guard over the victim, witness to a brutal murder, but unable to help solve the crime. Several suspects stand out, a number that grows as the investigation goes deep. 2 more murders appear to be linked. Chief Phil Swanson must unravel this complex mystery, rife with drug smuggling, a scandalous family secret, and betrayal at its worst. What criminal enterprise caught Matt in its web, and what did the horse see? Proudly published by Fresh Ink Group in jacketed hardcover, softcover, and all ebook formats. Matt's Murder by Patricia A. Guthrie is a thriller with surprises at every turn. Gosh, if horses could only talk. Robert Mackenzie, the Chair series spans centuries. Touching the lives of 22 generations of related mothers and daughters, their stories witnessed by a simple pine chair. Resolute, strong, loving, and fiercely protective, these women must strive to pass their values to new generations in a world of racism and sexism, politics, scandal, fashion, and even the rise and dominance of baseball. They live in privilege and poverty, with faith and despair, relishing every moment of love even as they suffer abiding grief. Volume 1, Lightning, Thunder, and Glory, spans the 1600s through World War I, while Volume 2, Faith, Hope, and Love, follows these women's descendants into modern times and beyond. In Volume 3, 7, 8, and 9, the Chair flashes back to pre-Civil War America, featuring a woman from the Second Mayflower, her daughter the black market Irish lace importer, and a Canadian World War I fighter pilot. Volume 4, Punt, Pass, and Kick, jumps forward with a gunboat battle, one courageous cattle drive, a suffragette in the ocean liner industry, a mysterious unpublished manuscript, and more. The series concludes with Volume 5, Mintaka, All Na Lamb, and All Na Tack. The armistice is signed, a French sub goes lost in the South Pacific. A gun battle erupts on the Mexican border, Scottish explorers brave a Canadian blizzard, and Christmas breaks out at a Beverly Hills shindig. A blend of history and philosophy told through satire and parody, the story of the Chair could be found in some old trunk in any dusty old attic. But Mackenzie breathes it alive with riveting tales that span the real and the imagined. Proudly published by Fresh Ink Group, the Chair series by Robert Mackenzie is available worldwide in jacketed hardcover, softcover, and all ebook editions.
All right. We got a couple of comments here. You got Jerry Pate says the butler did it. And Robert Mackenzie, he just put a chair in there. All right.
So Matt's Murder, that's only been up for about a day, that one. So people get over to the Fresh Ink Group channel and put a like on these thumbs and give them some views and show some love or whatever.
Go buy the books. Matt's Murder is quite exceptional. It's a murder mystery thriller, and Patricia Guthrie, she's good at writing those. She's a solid thriller writer. B.A. Johnson, who will be on the show here in a couple of weeks, she said she's watching and the videos look great. All right.
Thank you, Barbara.
Okay, so we're going to do the top 25 now.
Yeah, we've got a title placard.
We got to scroll down. We got a whole bunch of these placards in here, so I got to scroll down to the title placard, and there it is.
Hey, there it is. Top 25 bestsellers from Fresh Ink Group. So let's run through these things. Okay, starting in the 25 slot, we've got a novel, How to Paint an American by Andrew McGregor. And then we've got Nell Cooper's Nowhere to Go But Tomorrow. Now, that's Nell Cooper's hardcover. I've got a feeling the softcover is going to be up higher in this list. Like way up there. We'll see.
Yeah.
Then we've got Janelle A. Jordan's Still Not Enough, Minority Millennials in the Workforce. This is a book we published about 2 years ago, I think, for her. And she's got a new one out now, The Reality of Interpersonal Leadership. That might be on the list as well, too. And then we've got Tina Reese, A Light in the Darkness, Words of Poems and Encouragement. And then Dr. Najma Thomas from South Carolina State University's As We Remember, A History of the Women's Relief Corps in Beaufort, South Carolina. Some cool pictures in that one, eh, Beem?
Yeah.
All right. Food truck business books. We've got 3 by A.K. Wingler. We've got one for Tennessee. We've got one for Georgia. We've got one for Florida. This week, How to Start and Run Your Own Food Truck Business in Tennessee is on the list. And I want to emphasize that if you're starting a true food truck business anywhere, these books are for you, because there's a whole lot of stuff that applies to everywhere. Food layouts, things that you got to have, equipment needs, different ways to organize, stuff like that. And then the 3 that are written for specific states also have addresses, forms, contacts, and things specific to that area. These are cool books. If you're thinking about that business, check them out. And then we got Kenneth Lindquist, How to Teach Driving, Look at that, Beam, the Parents Edition. It's always the
Wow.
Instructors Edition that's on here. This week, the Parents Edition is getting in. So there's two versions of that book. If you're a parent, obviously you want the Parents Edition. And then Gwendolyn M. Plano, who we also publish as Gwen Plano for some other books. Letting Go into Perfect Love, Discovering the Extraordinary After Abuse. The soft cover and the hardcover are selling precisely the same numbers right now, Beam. Is that a pretty good book?
Oh yeah, it's a good book. It's a memoir, and it tugs at the heartstrings there, and but you see how resilient Gwen is. So.
Mm-hmm. And take it from somebody who's doing all of the end of the year stuff right now and issuing 1099s and stuff like that. We were impressed. Gwen Plano has sold a lot of books in 2024. In fact, she's in our top 3 author bestsellers. So if you're not familiar with Gwen Plano, check her out. And then Dr. Helen Burrell, American Agony, The Opioid War Against Patients in Pain. And that's just a cool book. It's looking at all the politics of enforcement and what's going on with the opioid epidemic and how they're cracking down on doctors and different things that are happening around the country. Operation Ivy Bells, a Mac McDowell mission by Robert G. Willis Croft. We're working on updating his trailers as well, but the Mac McDowell mission one, we're kind of diddling a little bit on that because Robert's talking about changing one of the covers in that series. And if that's the case, we should probably do that before we make the new video with the wrong cover. So, yeah, we kind of like to get it right the first time, or at least the first 4 times. But anyway, Operation Ivy Bells, that's the first book in the Mac McDowell Mission series, which is submarine Cold War thrillers. And he's up to 5, working on the 5th one right now, I believe. I'm starting to lose track of the numbers, but Robert's really turning these out. And Operation Ivy Bells is proving to be really popular long term. So check that out. Now look at that, Ellie Collins. She wrote 3 novels when she was 11, 12, and 13. This is the first one, the one she wrote at 11. And it's pretty cool. It's a chapter book. It's aimed primarily at teenagers. And there are also audiobooks. What do you think of these audiobooks?
Those were a lot of fun to put together. We worked with Ethan Drew. He's a noted Hollywood actor. He's got some really cool credits under his belt. And Consummate Pro did some fantastic work on this most recent one. And so, it was cool to work with him.
Yeah. And Ellie's now ranked as one of the top 5 archery people in the United States.
Yeah.
They're talking about, international competitions and stuff like that. So we like Ellie. Ellie and her mom, Stephanie's pretty cool. David Carroll is the Chattanooga area NBC Evening News anchor. And he's got 3 books that we've published, plus a 4th one that he put out before he knew us. This one's Volunteer Bama Dog, and this one's just a lot of fun. The reference is Tennessee Volunteers, Alabama, and dogs are the Georgia Bulldogs. So it's this little area of 3 states here where he grew up, where he was born, where he grew up, where he knows the people. So he has some fun with it. He tells the stories, makes fun of Southernisms, the way we talk down here. And I'm saying we now because I've been down here a few years. So David Carroll's Alabama or Volunteer Bama Dog, and that's a cool book. Now look at that. There's Operation Ivy Bells again by Robert G. Willis Croft. This is the softcover edition. And then just released The Chair, Volume 5, Mintaka, Alna Lamb, and Alnatak by Robert McKenzie. So congratulations, Robert. A couple of days out, and you're already climbing the list. And then I mentioned earlier, Janelle A. Jordan's The Reality of Interpersonal Leadership, a guide to leading authentically. This is kind of like a workbook. It takes you day by day through a whole bunch of things for developing your leadership skills. And then Beem mentioned earlier in the show, Journey Through the Lens, Creative Guide to Nature Photography by Angie Birmingham. Everything you ever wanted to know. And she keeps it simple, easy, fun. I learned a lot because I wound up editing that one. I don't get to edit books that much anymore because I'm doing too many other things. This one I grabbed. I wanted to edit this because I wanted to learn this stuff. Angie also was kind enough to do some mentoring for Braden Dexter Green, who put out Trains of Alabama, and she wrote the introduction. That's in that book as well. So thanks, Angie. It's good having you as part of the Fresh Ink Group membership. And then who's this guy? The High Road Memories from a Long Trip, Mark Herndon?
Yeah, he played drums for Alabama for 28 years, and he's got some cool stories, and he takes the high road. He doesn't, there's some things behind the scenes that, he opted to take the high road. You know, he's thankful for the opportunity that these guys gave him. So.
Yeah, I've been a little remiss in talking to him lately. I got to get on the phone and see how he and Leah are doing. Leah Seawright is country music singer. Leah Seawright is his wife. So we've got some country music power up on the mountain across the lake from me over here where Mark Herndon lives. And then there's David Carroll again. I Won't Be Your Scapegoat. David Carroll's Homemade Social Media Blunders. You don't like that book, do you, Beem?
Oh, that. If you want to laugh, if you're having a bummer day, you want to laugh, you pick up that book and open it to any page, and you're going to find something in there that's going to make you laugh out loud. So grab a copy if you want some laughs.
Yep. And there's A.K. Wengler again, How to Start and Run Your Own Food Truck Business in Florida, which was the first one she put out. And that brings us to our top 5. Let's see who gets the stars this week. Look at that. There's Florida again. The hardcover and the softcover are only 1 copy difference in their sales right now, which is pretty cool. So top 4 get some stars. For the bronze stars, slots 3 and 4 are tied. We've got Abigail H.U. Guinea's Mr. President, I've Got Your Back, the First Ladies of South Carolina State University, which she wrote with Mary L. Smalls, another First Lady from South Carolina State. And we've got retired U.S. Navy Lieutenant Commander Jerry Pates, submariner, 30 years of hijinks and keeping the fleet afloat, which had an assist from Robert G. Williscroft in putting this thing together. But Jerry's got a lot of stories to tell. He tells them in a fun, interesting way. 60-chapter memoir. So if you're into submarines, if you're into the Navy, if you're into cool stories, if you're into memoirs, if you're just into having something good to read, Submariner, 30 years of hijinks and keeping the fleet afloat. That brings us to our top 2, The High Road, Memories from a Long Trip by Mark Herndon. That's the hardcover. So people really like to have the hardcovers of these kinds of books that they want to keep or give as gifts. And then we've got a soft cover at top. If you remember, the hardcover for Nowhere to Go But Tomorrow was down there in slot number 24. Congratulations, Nell Cooper. You got number 1 again. You've been in and out of that number 1 slot now for 2 months, for a little over.
Yeah.
So Nowhere to Go But Tomorrow is a novel about the Lapeer State Home in Lapeer, Michigan, where they used to send people who had defects, is the way they termed those back in the day. And usually the children who landed in there could generally expect never to leave. They would wind up spending their lives in there. And she did a lot of research and wrote a historical novel that's full of accuracy and information and wonderful characters. And Beem and I both worked on editing that book with Nell, too. And we are big fans. Congratulations, Nell Cooper. You get number 1 and the gold star this week.
All right. And if you miss an episode of this show, the old show, we've got the audio podcast in the usual places, freshinggroup.com, YouTube, and Steven's website and my website. I haven't been over to Spotify and iHeartRadio to check on that, but I'm guessing they're still there right now. But we've also got the archive for this one over on YouTube and freshinggroup.com and Steven's website and my website. And if you want to contact the show, and you want to contact one of our guests on there and you didn't catch the contact info, here's how you do it. Go over to the Fresh Ink Group website, and at the very end there, you will see where the red arrow says contact. Click on that. You'll get a contact form, and just follow the prompts.
Yeah. And just to be clear, we own the rights to that red arrow.
Yeah.
We paid for the licensing rights to that red arrow. So we don't want any trouble here. All right. So let's meet today's guest, shall we? She's been waiting patiently over there in the green room, although I've seen her make 3 trips to the catering table. Jan Sikes. Jan Sikes is an old friend of both of us. We've been knowing her for a long time, and we're big fans. We like her books, we like her work, and we like her as a person. We even like her even though she's in Texas. So welcome to the show, Jan.
Welcome, Jan.
Yeah, now let's read your bio here. She writes compelling and creative stories from the heart. She openly admits she never set out in life to be an author, although she's been an avid reader all her life, but she had a story to tell. Not just any story, but a true story that rivals any fiction. She brought the entertaining true story to life through fictitious characters in an intricately woven tale that encompasses 4 books, accompanying music CDs, and a book of poetry and art. That's called multimedia. And now this author can't put down the pen. She continues to write fiction in a variety of genres and has published many award-winning short stories and novels. Jan Sikes is an active blogger, a devoted fan of Texas music, and a grandmother of 5. She resides in North Texas, and tonight she gets to hang out with us, and we're excited. Welcome to the show again, Jan.
So how you doing tonight, Jan?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
Now, down there, I understand in Texas and parts of Texas, you guys got some snow, which is kind of odd for Texas, isn't it?
Yeah, it is for South Texas, especially.
We have a little comment here coming up. Hi, Jan, from Liz.
Hi, Liz.
Yeah.
And Liz also said earlier, she threw this on there. Kudos to Gwen for the good sales.
Yeah, same. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
All right. So let's, for those who haven't caught you on this show in the past, where are you originally from? How all have you lived, and how did you get where you're at now?
How much time do we have?
we got plenty of time. We
Well,
go till midnight.
I was born and raised in Hobbs, New Mexico, which is way in the very southeastern corner of New Mexico, 5 miles from the Texas border. So I say I got to Texas as quick as I could. But anyway, I lived in Hobbs until I turned 18, and then I moved to Texas, and I've lived in Abilene, Texas. I've lived in Austin. I've lived in Houston. I've lived in Tampa, Florida. I've lived in Shreveport, Louisiana, and then most recently Coleman, Texas. And now I'm up here in North Texas, which is, I'm in the Metro Mass with DFW, and I'm north of Dallas.
Wow, it sounds like you're on the run.
I don't know if I'm running from or to.
That's a good thought.
You've seen the bluebonnets from every angle now, haven't you?
I have. And the cactus.
Yeah. So what kind of a kid were you when you were growing up? Were you into the reading and writing? Or outdoor type, indoor? Who would you be hanging out with?
Hi, Paula. I've always been a reader. My biggest passion in life was reading. I remember when I was in first grade. When I was a kid, we didn't have kindergarten yet, so we started school in first grade.
Wow.
And I remember getting so excited when I could start deciphering words. That was the most amazing thing. And I never stopped. I love to read. I read a lot. Other than that, I loved school. I was a good kid. I didn't get in trouble, and I loved school. And I had an older sister that she and I kind of were each other's best friends and grew up together and what have you. So, yeah, that was kind of the beginning.
Now, didn't have kindergarten. That's wow. That was like Little House on the Prairie era.
Almost.
Now, can you remember? You say you like to read going way back when. Can you remember your first favorite book?
Well, the very first book that I learned to read was the Dick and Jane readers.
Yeah. Okay. Because I can remember the first book I ever checked out of the library was Where the Wild Things Are. I can still remember it and just being enthralled with it. But we had a teacher in kindergarten the year before who read it to us. So in first grade, when they let us check out books, that's the first book I ever checked out. I don't know why that stuck with me, but all these years later.
That was a very, very popular book with all of my grandkids, and I've read it to all of them.
Mine was Legend of Sleepy Hollow. I was in second grade.
Wow.
And I still remember, thinking, wow, this is cool. This is there's stuff in here. This is fun. This is a story.
Yeah, absolutely. The first book I can remember checking out of the school library was the Grimm's Brothers Book of Fairy Tales.
Good one.
Loved it. I checked it out over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, who didn't do Charlotte's Web and that kind of stuff?
Third grade, Charlotte's Web.
All of it.
Yeah.
James and the Giant Peach, third grade.
Yeah.
So where'd you go to school, Jan?
I went to school in Hobbs, New Mexico. Elementary school and then junior high and high school. They didn't have all these different schools that they have now. Like with my grandkids, they go to elementary and then they go to, I don't even know what you call it, 2 years at some other school. And then they go to middle school and then they go to high school. I'm like, wow, I just went to 3.
Yeah, they complicated things these days with all these different
They really
schools.
did.
Just elementary, junior high, and high school, and then college if you go to college.
Right.
Now you mentioned grandkids and kids and families. What's your family situation like?
Well, I have two daughters that, and they both live close to here, which is why I'm here, because I wanted to be where my grandkids were and be involved in their lives. So that's why I moved up here. So yeah, I had the two daughters, and then I've got three grand boys and two grand girls. So 5 altogether.
All right. Let's see. Robert Williscroft says mine was Just David. I'm guessing that was his first book.
Yeah.
And speaking of Robert Williscroft, we've got a trailer of his. We're going to take a quick break, Jan, and roll some video here so everybody can go, how's my hair?
All right.
Yours is fine.
Yeah.
Discover interstellar drama with Robert G. Williscroft's science fiction series, The Oort Chronicles. In the first chronicle, Icicle, a tensor matrix, Braxton Thorpe has discovered a threat to the entire solar system, but he has a problem. He's dead. Frozen at death, he awakens to find himself uploaded into an electronic matrix. Exploring the larger global net, he discovers the Oort, a distributed electronic entity older than humanity, with an unnerving secret. Aliens wiped out nearly all life on Earth once and are coming back to do it again. The mathematical entity that is Thorpe has to find a way to convince humans of the threat, and in time to do something about it. But how? And what? In the second Oort Chronicle, the Oort Federation to the Stars, Braxton Thorpe passes the Federation chairmanship to former U.S. President John Butler. Thorpe's group offers humanity virtual immortality, but Isidor Orlov and his Udachni enterprises oppose their every move. Phoenix terraforms Mars for more living space, but the Mars Reds prove formidable resistors. In this tense space adventure, Thorpe, his team, and Max the Tabby Cat travel to Proxima Centauri and beyond to the Astor System, 84 light-years distant. Will Thorpe bring together humans and Asterians in their quest for intergalactic travel? Will long life prove more than mere humans can handle? In the third Oort Chronicle, Ran, a civilization in hiding, humans commence a voyage of discovery to the cold spot in the cosmic microwave background. Their first stop is the planet Arcan, orbiting Ran in the constellation Eridanus, where they discover an incipient spacefaring Saurian civilization that has hidden itself from the rest of the galaxy. Arcan has 3 ruling nations: a fascist dictatorship, a primitive theocracy, and a free market republic. The humans are drawn into a rebellion to overthrow the fascist tyrant, and then help thwart the theocratic prophet's ambitions to subjugate Arcan. Told entirely from the Arcan perspective, Ran centers on the human aliens' desire to integrate Arcans into their growing Oort Federation. In the fourth Oort Chronicle, Cade, a lost civilization, Starship Andromeda stops at the Cade Triple Star System on its voyage of discovery and stumbles on a derelict Dyson sphere. The starship is attacked by microbots, scavenging one part of the sphere to repair another. They map the sphere and discover several primitive races inside: humanoid, feline, and saurian. The explorers discover that the Dyson Sphere's star is about to produce a superflare that could destroy all life and even the sphere itself. The explorers mount a major rescue effort to save the uploads and sapient races. Robert G. Williscroft's series, The Oort Chronicles, is available in jacketed hardcovers, softcovers, and all ebook formats, proudly published by Fresh Ink Group. Robert G. Williscroft's The Oort Chronicles!
All right. Robert G. Williscroft is an exceptional storyteller. This is an excellent series. He's got a Star Child Saga series, too, which is 4 books. And right now he's working on merging those 2 series, which is pretty cool. But I got to tell you, Beem, watching these trailers is a lot more fun than saying, hey, go over to YouTube if you want to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they're way more effective. We put a lot of work and money and effort into, making these things, and we're proud of them, and our authors are proud of them. So it's kind of cool to be able to show them.
Now, this comment from Willis Croft, that's the author who wrote the book, Jeff David. So I thought I'd throw that in there.
Eleanor Porter. Okay.
So, Jan, when you're not writing, you're not running around with grandkids and all that good stuff, not shoveling snow out of your driveway. What do you like to do? Do you have any hobbies? What do you kill your time with?
Well, besides reading, I guess if I had any other hobby, I would have to say music. I'm a big fan of live music. There's just something really special, and Stephen, you know this very well. There's an energy exchange that happens in live music between the artist and the audience, and so I love live music. Now, COVID kind of changed all of that for everybody, and we're still kind of feeling our way back. But I participate in music festivals, and I go to live music venues as often as I can. So I guess that would be my other hobby.
Yeah, I love live music, going to concerts still to this day. I've been going to concerts since 1980, 1979.
Exactly.
I've just seen a lot of great bands. And one of the guitar players just passed away, Jan Sikes, R.I.P. John. I got to see him back in '84 when he played with Whitesnake. And that took me by surprise. Didn't even know the guy was sick, and then they just announced that he had passed away. But,
well, all these guys are getting old.
Yeah, well, he was only 65. He died from cancer. He had cancer, but he didn't let on. He didn't tell anybody that he had it, so nobody knew. But music is good. Music is fun. Music is to me, music is a spiritual thing, and he's got this. Now explain the shirt, Stephen, so everybody knows who Beem is.
That.
Beat is a band that's touring right now. It's former members of King Crimson from the 1970s, and they're out there doing all King Crimson material from 3 King Crimson albums, including In the Court of the Crimson King. Tony Levin on the Chapman stick playing bass. Man, that's a show to see. Yeah, out there, get up.
Tony playing bass with Peter Gabriel.
Yep.
Dude's an amazing bass player.
Yeah, definitely. All right, now you mentioned having some hobbies and spending your time doing some stuff, Jan. There's something that keeps coming around once a month that you have to spend some time working on, and it probably seems like about every 3 days, because it does to me.
Yeah.
It seems like I just do a Story Empire article and wait, is it my turn again? But what is this Story Empire thing that you spend some time on, and why should we all care? Because I think it's pretty cool.
So I've been a member of Story Empire for a few years, and it is just a group of 12 authors who share their expertise in the writing field and marketing field and all of the things that we have to deal with in this crazy business of producing books. And it's such a unique place in that every author who posts a blog on Story Empire is coming from their own personal experiences and what they've learned and what they've, maybe some of the pitfalls that they can help others avoid or what have you. But it's a very informal group, and but just lots and lots of great information. And especially over the years, I mean, if you look back at the archives, there's anything you could want to see, you can find it. Any question you have about anything in the writing process, you can find it on Story Empire. So I'm really happy to be associated with this great group of authors, because I learned so much too. I mean, we never, ever stop learning. None of us. We never say, okay, I have arrived. This is it. Because this whole craft of creating stories is very fluid. And so we're always learning something new, a new approach, or something new about point of view, or something new about, and then things change. And so that's really good too, to keep up with things that change in the industry.
Yeah, writing is like everything else in that there's fashion, there's trends, there's the latest way things are happening or whatever. And those are looked at. But one of the cool things about Story Empire is the interaction with the comments.
Yes.
People will put up an article, somebody like you will put up an article and then wind up with a whole lot of people adding to the discussion and then get some back and forth or whatever. And I really like that part of it as well.
Yeah.
Kappa. All right.
Yeah. So there's a reader from the Story Empire website.
So just to be clear, Jan, how do people find these? Can they subscribe? Does it cost anything? What do they win?
Well, we don't do any giveaways, but what you win is knowledge.
Yeah.
But yes, storyempire.com. We post blogs 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And it's always, it winds up being about, as you were saying, once a month for each of us. And it's just a really special place for authors to visit and share and learn and what have you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Stephen kind of touched on it a little bit, that you began writing at such and such time in your bio. How long have you been writing? And how has this for you, how has your style or your approach to it evolved over the period of time you've been writing?
So I published my first book in 2013, and it was, as Stephen was saying, it was a true story. And I thought that somebody else would tell the story. And then I realized one day that if they did, I would have to tell them the whole thing. So with my sister's encouragement, which she is a USA Today, New York Times bestselling author, I went to school. I took some creative writing classes and I got busy, and it took 4 books to tell that story. But oh my goodness. So from that first book to now, my writing style, maybe the style has not really changed all that much, but my ability to properly tell a story has grown by leaps and bounds. So last year, it was the 10-year anniversary for the first book, Flowers and Stone. And I was going to do a blog promotion to really try to promote the book on its anniversary. And I started pulling excerpts and quotes from the book. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I can't promote this book with a clear conscience. So I pulled it down and spent hours and days re-editing, revising, actually wound up adding like 4 or 5 more chapters to the book.
Wow.
So, it is just, and I think for me as a writer, my goal is that I hope and pray that each story I produce is better than the last one.
Yeah. Well, that goes back to what we were just talking about with Story Empire. I mean, everybody's learning.
Yes.
Even the style of writing a book, I don't care who you are, it's evolved over the years. What worked for Hemingway would not work today.
No.
In most cases.
That's
bring
true.
out the old typewriter and let's get some paper and start typing.
Yeah.
Xerox, yeah. I actually, a couple of years ago, I picked up a Hemingway book to read. And it was an interesting experience because as I turned the pages, I kept waiting for something to happen, waiting for something to happen, waiting for something to happen. Nothing happened, but I was mesmerized. I kept turning the pages. I mean, it was a very different, things were just different back then. The same thing like with another author that I'm a huge admirer of is Erskine Caldwell. And to read his books is like, this would not fly today. It would not fly. A publisher wouldn't touch it. So it's just interesting how everything has evolved. But as a society, we've evolved. So, I guess that's all part of the deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's that way in music and movies. We've all got those movies that we remember from when we were younger, and we thought, what a wonderful movie that was. It's one of my favorite movies. And then you watch it when you're an adult, decades later, and it's like, what?
Yeah, right.
There was a movie back in the 70s. It was called Audrey Rose, and it was about Anthony Hopkins played this guy whose daughter had been killed in a car accident or in a fire. She was killed in a fire. And jump ahead a few years later, and this young married couple, they've got a daughter, and she starts having these dreams that she's his daughter. And anyway, it's a reincarnation thing.
Oh.
And I remember thinking, what a great film that was. And then some years ago, and I hadn't seen it since the 70s. And some years ago I watched it and was like, oh man, wait a minute. What?
Yeah.
The movie itself wasn't that bad. The young actress that played Audrey Rose I thought she was really good when I was a kid, because she was my age or maybe a year or so older than me. I thought she was a really good actress. No, she wasn't.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just last week with my oldest grandson, he came and spent the night, and he wanted to watch The Wizard of Oz. So we watched the original 1939 production of The Wizard of Oz. And it's just kind of funny to watch, because there were no special effects. There were no digital effects. There was and actors and actresses had to really work at it. So it was interesting to watch it. But
yeah, I still like that movie. But here's an interesting fact: that 1939 is not the original. There are two other ones. There was one in 1910 and I believe 1921. Now the 1910 one was like 15 minutes long. It was a single reel silent film. The 1921, I think, was 45 minutes and silent as well. But it had more of a connection to the 1939 version, as the characters kind of looked like that. That 1910 one was just this weird thing. It was like, it didn't look anything like the 39 one.
All right, we're talking to Jan Sikes, author extraordinaire. We're going to knock out a couple of commercials here and then start talking about Jan's books.
All righty.
The Gulls Are Always Laughing by Carlisle Thoms is poetry about transition from trauma and turmoil through relationships to spirituality and the ability to laugh at one's troubles. We have all fought through anguish, hopefully to become better citizens. The poetry covers Carlisle's formative years, growing up with abuse on a farm in the Ozarks, his adult relationships, and his transition to life on the shores of the coastal bend of Texas. He bears his heart and soul on these pages, but he hopes to bear witness to there being a better way, and it is always possible to overcome and rise above. Proudly published by Fresh Ink Group. The Gulls Are Always Laughing is available in jacketed hardcover, softcover, and all ebook formats at your favorite retailers worldwide. The Gulls Are Always Laughing by Carlisle Thoms.
The stranger in Puzzletown has everyone talking. When he gets off the bus, his frumpy old suitcase simply says Kevin. He looks normal, but in a town where everybody has knobs, Kevin has no knobs. He's too different. Where can he live? Who would ever want to be his friend? Then a powerful force enters Puzzletown, and their world spins out of control. How will Kevin ever become a true citizen of Puzzletown when he just doesn't fit in? An illustrated chapter book for children, Puzzletown is by retired educator B.A. Johnson, author of Sassy Discovers the AME Church and Sassy Uncovers Peter Allen's Secret, available in case limited hardcover, softcover, and all ebook formats. Puzzletown teaches about inclusion in a fun and entertaining way. Published by Fresh Ink Group, Puzzletown has everybody talking.
And those two authors are our next two guests, Carlisle Thoms next week and B.A. Johnson the week after that. So that's pretty cool. Right. So we're talking to Jan Sikes, and Jan Sikes has a new series which Fresh Ink Group is proud to be publisher of. Let's start with the first book in that series, Jan, A Beggar's Bargain. And why don't we go ahead and just play the trailer, and then why don't you tell us what it's about?
Okay.
All right, let me get in here. A Beggar's Bargain.
A shocking proposal that changes everything. Desperate to honor his father's dying wish, Laken Martin vows to do whatever it takes to save the family farm. Once the Army discharges him following World War II, Laken returns to Missouri to find his legacy in shambles and in jeopardy. A foreclosure notice from the bank doubles the threat. He appeals to the local banker for more time, a chance to rebuild, plant, and harvest crops, and time to heal far away from the noise of bombs and gunfire. But the banker firmly denies his request. Now what? Then the banker makes an alternative proposition: marry his unwanted daughter, Sarah Beth, in exchange for a 2-year extension. Out of options, money, and time, Laken agrees to the bargain. Now he has 2 years to make a living off the land while he shares his life with a stranger. Read A Beggar's Bargain, Book 1 in the Bargainer series by best-selling author Jan Sikes. Available worldwide from multimedia publisher Fresh Ink Group. In jacketed hardcover, softcover, and all ebook formats. A Beggar's Bargain by Jan Sikes.
It's a cool story, Jan.
So that book was my first attempt at historical fiction. And so it's set in the 1940s, and I had to do an awful lot of research. And it's set in Missouri, which I was not familiar with. So I took a trip, went to Missouri, and with the main goal of visiting the libraries in the area and hopefully looking at microfilm, old newspapers. And what I found was the mother lode, really, at the library in Greenfield, Missouri. And there was a lady there that's the head of the Genealogy Society for Dade County, Missouri. And she really got involved in helping me do the research, helping me with any questions that I had as I went along and what have you. And I'm still very connected with her. I mean, now she's a friend. They've come and spent the night with me. So, you never know this journey of writing, you never know where it's going to take you. But that was my first historical fiction. It's not a romance, even though the book starts out with them getting married. They're strangers and they have to learn to live together and cohabitate and working toward a common goal. So it was a lot of fun to write, and it took some interesting little twists and turns. And, the one thing I love the most about creating a book is all of the little surprises that pop up as you're going along, because you think you know the story and you think you know where it needs to go. And then all of a sudden, I agree, Liz, 3 cheers for librarians. Yes. So that to me is the fun part, is when these little surprises pop up, like characters that you had not planned, and then all of a sudden there they are, and they're like, okay. So yeah, it was a lot of fun to write. The idea for the story came from a song. I listened to a lot of music, and this group called the Damn Quails, they're a Texas group. And I have a song that one line in it says something like, "It's fool's gold in a beggar's bargain." And I was driving, and I pulled over, got my little notepad, and wrote down "a beggar's bargain." I was like, I knew I had to do something with it.
You're a writer.
Did not know it was going to be historical fiction, did not know what. But so, yeah, that's how it all started for that book.
At what point did you decide maybe this could be a series?
That's the story for the second book. But yeah, I thought this was just going to be a one-off. I really didn't plan for it to be a series. But I was driving home from Lubbock, Texas, from visiting my sister. And, when you're in the car by yourself, your mind just goes, and it's a good time for thinking and clarity. And so I was just driving along, and these characters started talking to me and telling me what their story was. So I was like, okay, I guess there's going to be a second book. So that's how the second book came to be. They just started telling me their story, and it was all related. So, yeah.
And that second book, A Noble Bargain, roll video, Beam.
All righty. Hold on. Let me take this list up here. And a noble bargain.
A true testament of character, resilience, and the magic of never giving up. The year is 1948, and folks in the sawmill town of Crossett, Arkansas work hard and play hard. Oliver Quinn does both. Oliver is the son of Irish immigrants who firmly believe in pursuing the American dream. His deepest desire is to play Major League Baseball. He only needs one chance to prove himself. Rose Blaine is living in a nightmare where dreams don't exist. She's suffered for years at the hands of her violent moonshiner father and his partner. During a brutal attack, she must fight back or die. The aftermath is devastating. Fueled by desperation, Rose strikes a life-changing bargain with Oliver. If he'll take her and her brother to St. Louis, Missouri, she'll introduce Oliver to her uncle, a baseball legend. While their journey is fraught with unseen perils, they forge an unbreakable bond and make surprising allies. When destiny throws them a curveball, they must find the courage to create a hopeful future out of the ashes of shattered dreams with newfound fortitude. Read A Noble Bargain, Book 2 following A Beggar's Bargain in the Bargainer series by best-selling author Jan Sikes. A Beggar's Bargain and A Noble Bargain are available worldwide from multimedia publisher Fresh Ink Group. In jacketed hardcover, softcover, and all ebook formats. The Bargainer series by Jan Sikes.
I like the look. Those covers have a historical fiction feel that's just right on the money, I think.
I think so too. And the other thing too, as far as this second book, it's set in Arkansas, so I had to go do some research. So I took a trip to Arkansas and visited the library there at Crossett. And I chose Crossett, Arkansas, because I needed a small town that had a sawmill and a train track, and it had both. And the sawmill is still there. And I can't remember exactly what year, but I think it was sometime in the 60s. Georgia Pacific bought the sawmill, and it's still very much in operation. So I had to learn more stuff and do more research, and that's the thing that I'm finding with historical fiction. And I know we have to do that for anything we write, but it's important to me in writing historical fiction that I keep it real.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Because that's what I was going to point out to the time period. It's not just that you went to Missouri or Arkansas, because just going there is not going to teach you what it was like in the 1940s or whatever. You have, like you said, go to the library. You have to look back at what it was. You don't want to write your story. It's set in 1935, and the guy says, "I'm going to shoot down here to the McDonald's and grab a Big Mac." Because there's a Big Mac in town, or a McDonald's in town. Yeah.
No, and that's very true. And so that's really important to me that, thank you, Paula. It's important to me to keep it real and to keep it right. And it did require a lot of research. And especially in the second book, I had to learn about a vehicle that I knew nothing about. So the vehicle in this second book was a 1939 Woody wagon.
Yeah.
And then I had to have it break down. So I had to learn what I could make happen to it and then how to fix it. It's just, it's so funny. If you look at any author's search history, you'd just be amazed at the things we have to look up.
Yeah.
And
congratulations on the awards too.
Thank you so much. I was super excited. The Page Turner Awards is an international awards contest, and so I was just thrilled that it placed with that one.
So can we expect a book 3, a book 4? What's going on?
I'm working on book 3, which will be a bold bargain.
Hmm.
And it's completely different, of course. And but there was a side character in the second book that was Rose's younger brother, Jack. And Jack is the main character in A Bold Bargain. But the bargain is very different in that there is an elderly woman she's dying. She has brain cancer and she's dying. And she makes a bargain with Jack, who is only 18 years old at this point, that if he will help her and protect her from people knowing what's happening with her and help take care of her, that she'll leave her entire estate to him. So that's going to be the bargain.
Hmm.
So it's very different. So now there's all these elderly people in this book, and I'm having to figure out health issues and how did they, like if somebody had a stroke in 1949, 1950, how did they treat it?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
There really wasn't much.
So did you go back to Missouri or Arkansas for the third one, or is that going to be someplace else?
So I'm going back to Missouri in April and doing some more like physical. I want to see. I need visual. Like there's a place called Cave Springs. I want to see what Cave Springs is. There's Corey, which was a boom town, a mining town. That's so amazing. Like you can pick any place, any spot, and go, and there's going to be a history there. But in Dade County, which is a very small county in Missouri, there was zinc mining, and there were thousands of people that lived there. Now there's nothing, not even any foundations. There's an old cemetery, and there's some flat rocks where people carved their names and the dates on them, as kind of like the human need to leave a mark somewhere.
Yeah.
So I want to walk that area. I want to see the Corey rocks, and so I'm going back in April to do some more research on this book. In the meantime, I'm still writing on it, and I'll just have to go back and change things if I need to after I go. But yeah, it's just an amazing process.
Yeah, it's great too, because not only are you doing the legwork for the research, but you're doing advance work for the publicity that's going to come after the book is out as well. So,
okay.
and you can write off all the expenses. So travel.
It's all part of the deal. Oh, absolutely. Every bit.
Now that's the Bargainer series, which is published by Fresh Ink Group. There's a whole lot of Jan Sikes books out there that you've put out over the years as well. We're going to kind of race through some placards here. And tell us what these are, Jan.
Okay, well, the True Story series was the 4 books that it took to tell the true story about my life with singer-songwriter, Texas musician Rick Sikes, and his life and his career, and how that all went with a lot of crazy twists and turns, including a 15-year stay in Leavenworth Penitentiary. It's definitely a work that was from the heart, for sure. The story just needed to be told, and I'm very proud of them. It started me on a whole different trajectory in life. It really did. And then with these 4 books, because they all evolved and revolved around music, I released a music CD with each book that matched the time period of each story. So like Flowers and Stone, the music that goes with that book, I took off of 45 RPM records. You can still hear some of the scratches in the records. We got most of them out in the mastering, but you can still hear a few of them. And so each one has a music CD that accompanies it.
Cool.
So after I finished telling the true stories, I started experimenting, and I didn't know what I wanted to write. I didn't know what genre I wanted to write in. So I started writing short stories and experimenting with different ideas and different genres. And so that's kind of so I have 20 published works out there, and a portion of those are these short stories. So each one of these, like the Soldier's Children, the idea for that story came in a dream. I dreamed about these two little girls, and they were in an amusement park. I have no idea why I dreamed that or who they were, but I had to write a story. So I wrote A Soldier's Children. Brother's Keeper was another one that was kind of, it came about through a conversation with one of my late husband's cousins. And she said, we were talking about Rick having to do time in prison. And she said, I wouldn't be surprised if he hadn't taken the fall for his brother. Well, I knew the truth, but it gave me an idea for a story. So Brother's Keeper. Voodoo or Destiny was a fun short story to write. And again, the idea came from something real. Like this woman here in this area, she was separated from her husband. They were going to file for divorce, but hadn't gotten there. In the meantime, he died. And she had to take care of all the funeral arrangements. She was still married to him. And so in Voodoo or Destiny, I kind of had the same scenario, except that the woman made a voodoo doll and stuck pins in it, and then the man died. So then she didn't know if she had actually killed him or if he just died. So it was kind of fun to write. Mountain Laurel Christmas was just a Christmas story, but it was taken from the Eddie Rabbit song Rocky Mountain Music. Kind of a similar to that in some ways. That's kind of where that idea came from. Jonah was an interesting idea that came to me with, I was doing a meditation, and one of the things in guided meditation, it was a visual, and you imagined that you were on this island and that you had to create everything that you needed on this island. So that gave me the idea for Jonah. And he is actually exiled to an island with creatures that threaten him at every turn. And he has a lot to learn. So that was kind of that batch. Aw.
Now,
That's
who are
my
these people?
favorite.
Yeah, who are these guys?
So I mentioned earlier that I work a lot of different music festivals, and for years, 10 years, I worked the Outlaws and Legends Music Festival in Abilene, and Chris Christopherson was a headliner one year, and it was just such a privilege to get to have a picture taken with him. It was amazing. He was very gracious.
Hmm.
And he has since passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember you had sent that because I think we shared it in the newsletter.
I think we did.
Chris had passed away. So we thought, well, we'll put that in here tonight.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Now
Okay, so we're about out of time here, Jan. Do you have any advice for authors out there in our audience?
The only thing that I can tell anybody is just if you have a story in you, write it. And if you need help, go to Story Empire and look for help.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's just, you just jump in. You jump in and see where it takes you. But for me, starting this journey in 2013 took me a whole different direction than what I ever imagined that my life would go. Oh, thanks, Paula.
Yeah, we had a comment from Judy White Arts a minute ago as well. She said,
we did. Hi, Judy. Oh, and my sister. My sister's on there too.
Judy's Divinely Guided Wisdom. That's Judy White Arts. We published that book for her.
And this is your sister?
That is my sister.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. Okay. Well, I'm glad that everybody that commented tonight did so, because we like that. It helps the audience become part of it. Now, speaking of the audience and how they can become part of the show, how can they find you on social media and websites and contacts and all that good stuff?
Well, the easiest way to find me is to go to my website, which is jansikes.com. And then all of the links to all of my social media accounts. You can sign up for my newsletter. You can subscribe to my blog. It's all at jansikes.com.
JanSikes.com.
All right.
All right.
And as usual, if you didn't catch that, you can hit the contact form on freshingroup.com, and we'll let Jan know you're looking
Got a
for it.
placard for that.
Yeah, somewhere in here.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So now next week, we're going to have Carlisle Toms, which we mentioned earlier. And then the week after that,
B.A. Johnson makes a return visit. She's always fun to catch up with. And
Yeah.
after
that, somebody that Jan Sikes knows from way back, Marcia Fox.
Oh, yeah.
The Dead Canadian series, who just finished that trilogy. Yeah. So we're looking forward to having her.
And after Marcia, we've got David Carroll. He's been on a few times, and he's always fun to have on as well.
Mm-hmm. And then after that, we've got Angie Birmingham, who we mentioned is the professional photographer, world respected photographer who travels the world, takes pictures of anything that moves and things that don't move. But her book, Journey Through the Lens, is very cool. On our way out, we're going to play our last two commercials from tonight. And the first one is going to be Journey Through the Lens by Angie Birmingham. But we want to thank Jan Sikes again for stopping by, for bringing the plate of cookies. The cookies were delicious. So we look forward to having you again. And we're looking forward to that third book in the Bargainer series as well.
Me too.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us tonight, Jan.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Scroll through
we'll
this.
Those commercials now. Subscribe to that newsletter, and we'll see everybody next week.
In Journey Through the Lens, Creative Guide to Wildlife Photography, celebrated wildlife photographer Angie Birmingham introduces burgeoning photo takers to their photo equipment and helps them develop the techniques for stunning outdoor photography. From mastering exposure to optimizing focus and lighting, Angie shows how to find the right styles to tell visual stories and present compelling images. Learn landscape composition along with the best ways to shoot animals, birds, and flowers. Find out how skilled photographers capture all the details while manipulating backgrounds and mood. Order a digital copy in your favorite ebook format or collect a print edition in full-sized paperback or case laminate hardcover. Available worldwide from your favorite bookseller. From newcomers to professionals, everybody who loves taking wildlife pictures will thrill at how easy Angie Birmingham makes it for you to continue your own journey through the lens.
Fresh Ink Group presents Slivers of Life by Beem Weeks, a collection of short stories. A girl's hunger won't wait. A woman scorned takes matters into her own hands. Seeking peace by any means necessary. We pay attention when big events happen all at once. But everyday life comes at us in slivers. 2 boys, a girl, and secrets in the woods. Young love falls short of the dream when the monster is someone we know. Secrets from the past mirror the tragedies of today, and a young man searches for his lost faith. Slivers of Life, a collection of short stories by Beem Weeks. Read Slivers of Life in print or ebook editions, including iBook, Kindle, Nook, and more. Slivers of Life is proudly published by Fresh Ink Group.
You've been a part of Voice of Indy.